usually I don't spend this much money on a record. When you play it at 33 instead of 45, it sounds so lush, actually really emotional.
I think it's the late 60s, early 70s. A few little pops and clicks on it, but it's worth £20.
There's this one song where the intro of it has this really nice, like, road section.
R&B, UKG, 90s dance, fun vibes.
Slightly danceable, very left field, kind of obscure, yeah, kind of, it's got a bit of a kind of 80s electronic Italian kind of thing going on.
I'm quite drawn to kind of symbolic people and things.
I just found this on a chair.
This is a record that I listened to almost non-stop for 6 months once when I was 20 years old.
Classic Lee Scratch Perry that really every home should have.
One record that did in my want list on Discogs for a little while. So yeah, I paid £35 for one track today.
I found this today. It's called Oblivion and the tracks are Last Dance and Sands of Time. It's quite an incredible drum and bass record. I've been really into more listening down-tempo music, and when you play it at 33 instead of 45, it sounds so lush and so beautiful and actually really emotional. So yeah, I fell in love immediately, and usually I don't spend this much money on a record. It was like £65, which is quite a lot for me, but I'm quite in love with it, so I had to get it.
So we're looking at a record from, I think it's the late 60s, early 70s. A guy called Art Grayson. It's a sort of northern soul, sort of proper stomper basically that I'm going to play tomorrow. But it's a great tune, it's on Congress. There's a few little pops and clicks on it, a bit scratchy, but it's worth £20. I DJ in and around London and in Essex. I play a lot of sort of 60s garage, 60s pop, and then it crosses over into electronica, new wave, jungle. But my main, yeah, I do like a guitar and drums, something that's quite heavy and pounding, like, I mean, The Seeds, Small Faces, Clinic, that sort of scenario of music, basically.
Standing on the water, casting your bread, while the eyes of the idol with the iron head are glowing.
It's kind of browsing. It's the first time I've been in this shop. Been past it like loads of times over the years, but yeah. And I'm incapable of entering a shop without buying something, so so I've bought Bob Dylan. I was actually looking, this is the record I came looking for, Joan Baez.
How long since I've spent a whole night in a twin bed with a stranger?
Half an hour ago I was in another shop, an antique shop, and they had this exact record. But it was for display only, so I came out disappointed, and I happened to find it here, so I was quite happy about that.
Sitting in a park in Paris, France, reading the news and it sure looks bad.
So this record was $35. It was the most expensive one I bought today. And I don't know, I don't have a particular connection to Joni Mitchell. It's quite iconic, really, I guess, and I just quite like, I'm quite drawn to the symbolic people and things, so so yeah, this one stood out to me, and I couldn't resist, so here I am.
My twins have got 5-year-old twins have got a birthday party in the park next door, and it's just a rare excuse to be able to go to a record shop. So my wife is there with them, and then I'm going to go back now, but no one's called me, so I could probably spend even longer here. But this is one I've been wanting to get for a long time, but I never really, I get a lot of records, but I don't really go out. It's the kind of thing I was just hoping I would come across in the shop, and I have done. And I know it's a pressing from 1982 on Go Feet. I heard John in the shop said it's quite a good pressing of it. And you know, I'm not that bothered about whether it's original or the latest pressing. I prefer something old, and this is what it is. It's a kind of classic Lee Scratch Perry dub production from, I think, the 70s that really every home should have. and I'm very happy to have finally got it.
I buy records mainly for taking samples to make beats. With these like rap singles, you get like different edits. So you get like the instrumental, which is cool to listen to just because you get different details than you would when you hear the actual, like the full song with the raps over it. And you get the a cappella, and that's the thing that I thought would be cool, because the a cappella, you can take like a line or a couple words or something and you can put that into the beat. Method Man has like a very recognizable voice, so that can help with the feel of the whole thing that you're trying to do.
Blazing the stuff that ain't nice, stimulation inside you.
This record here, Chase the Clouds Away, it just has, I don't really know Chuck Mangione or the album, but there's this one song where the intro of it has this really nice like road section, and it's like there's nothing else there but that. And that's great like material, because you take that and you can play with that in so many different ways. And then use that as something to kind of build a beat around. You kind of buy a record because you hear one or two things, and then you take it home with you, or you take it to your studio, wherever you're going to be. And then as you spend more time with it, maybe you find there's a few more things that you can use. Yeah, and then this last one here, just standing by itself, is Oscar Peterson, the piano player, and Ella Fitzgerald, the singer. The way he plays, he runs off a lot, but sometimes, which is not really what I use, but sometimes you'll get like a nice little slow bit where the piano is either by itself, or it's like you can filter out the other shit without losing too much from the piano.
So I bought one record that I've been in my want list on Discogs for a little while. I think it's like a French house record. It's got one track that I really wanted for a long time. It's Pre-Shock by Etienne de Crécy. So yeah, I paid £35 for one track today. Yeah, I mostly dance music. Everything from house and techno to UK leading sounds from garage dubstep, jungle, also like R&B and dancehall, kind of like 2000s stuff, all the nostalgic things that I grew up on, watching MTV Bass on telly after school. Yeah, that's my like guilty pleasure.
Just popped in because we got a new record player at Christmas, so and we know John and Liam, so we've come in to get some new records. I do DJ, but I don't DJ with vinyl. I DJ USB. R&B, UKG, 90s dance, fun vibes. But I've got some over there, which is Missy, Elia and Little Kim, and then here I've got, I haven't actually listened to this, but a Benny Benassi and Outkast, and I've also picked up a Nelly.
So hot in here.
Just chilling at home, having drinks at home and putting some fun music on.
Stored on the shelves of my memory.
This record popped out of me that is a right blast from the past for me, and I used to own it on stolen MP3. Always thinking I'm going to get that vinyl one day, and today's the day, and it's Roberto Cacciapaglia, the Anne Steele album, brought mainly on the strength of one tune called My Time, which is a great tune, and I'm pretty sure I know that track on the side B, Media, as well. Slightly danceable, but very left field, kind of obscure, yeah, kind of, it's got a bit of a kind of electronic, kind of 80s electronic Italian kind of thing going on, but then, yeah, I'm not even sure how to describe this, you know. It's been a while since I've even heard it, but I'm glad to see it.
buying records for my housemate because it's her birthday, and I'm just supposed to buy one, but how can you just buy one? So I bought her this because it just looks funky and cool, and I think that makes a perfect kind of birthday present. I then saw this, which is a record that I listened to almost non-stop for 6 months once when I was 20 years old. So this is the Mountain Goats, which is a single person, not actually a full band. There's a singer-songwriter who tends to kind of, I don't know how to talk about it, maybe much bigger in the early 90s or early late 90s in terms of the cassette culture type kind of indie home recording stuff, but then kind of goes big full studio on this album, and a lot of songs of heartbreak and loss, and also, yeah, just the problems of the Deep South. And this record I have no idea about. It just looked weird and cool, and I assumed it might have been a early 1980s sort of psych or post-punk, and I just thought it was cheap, so I'll give it a try. No idea. I'm a lecturer in geography, but one of my projects at the moment is I work a lot in Timor-Leste, and we have a project going there around kind of mapping local rock music during the 1980s and 1990s that was integral to the resistance against the Indonesians, and working with Timorese musicians.
I tend to buy records also based on whether the album cover looks cool. So I've got a few, like this one for instance. I like the design and how kind of cool and abstract it looks. It looks hand-drawn, so that basically caught my eye. I got a free jazz album by Henry Threadgill, who's an incredible artist. This album's called Ragbush and All. And then I just found this on a chair next to the records, next to a record player, and I was like, oh, let me just play this for a little bit. I've got like my own music publication where I cover and like review albums that come out and do interviews with artists. So yeah, I do a bit of like, and I have done a bit of DIY radio as well in the past. But yeah, I mean, these records are just for me to kind of listen to. Maybe also sample, because I make a little bit of, I've started making music, so kind of making beats and stuff, so yeah, we'll hopefully get some good samples from these.
Well, this is the classic John Lennon, Yoko Ono, you know, love story and double fantasy. I'm not really versed on the songs in here, but the couple actually inspire me a lot.
I'm Marco, and I'm from Germany. We came to London for this weekend but to shop for records. I found the White Album of the Beatles. I've been looking for it for years, and I thought it's the best thing to buy the White Album in London, and so I found it here. Also about Ginger Baker. He's the drummer from Cream, and yeah, it was a good price. And I didn't know about this album. I listened to it and I took it. And the third album, I don't know this band. I just found it here. Hang the Bastard it's called, and the name sounded cool, and it's exactly the music I like to listen to. And yeah, so I'm happy to find something new in London.